big things popping, little things stomping. And that's what I think we can look forward to going forward. But before we get into this serious breakdown of our top 10 list, we thought it might be fun to, given that we were recording only a night, I guess the day after Raw, and BC, you said you hadn't quite finished, but I have watched the whole show from last night, and just a general sense of excitement. We were just saying how, and we're not going to belabor it. We're all excited for the changes and all that good stuff, but for me, it's been so really, really cool to get back into that excitement era for me about wanting to tune into Raw and SmackDown now. And just like that brings me back to like really, really good times of wrestling. And I've mentioned this many times. I was tuning in, but it was almost sort of because, not because I had to, but just because that's what I do. I'm a wrestling fan, so I tune in and watch. And half the time was background noise because I was doing other things. But now it's like, oh my God, I'm watching it and paying attention, and it's just so good. And Raw last night was so fantastic, and we were just mentioning highlighting that Drew Kevin Owens segment. My God, how many we got wrestling ring, we got all of that in one segment. We got a badass Kevin Owens, we got a badass Drew McIntyre, we got a badass match. I didn't even care that it was a kind of a schmoz finish because it still made sense, and you had to do that to keep the Roman Reigns thing going for Drew. So man, oh man, what a show last night, eh?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm about 2/3 of the way through, but I saw the thing that everybody's been talking about, and of course, that's an amazing promo, not just by Drew, but also by KO. KO is bringing a ton of emotion, a ton of frustration to what he's talking about, which is amazing. I love that. And then Drew, man, like just when it was starting to seem like Drew is starting to get a little bit tired and people are getting a little bit tired of Drew, he pulls that out of his ass. And now I want to see Drew take that title from Roman. I want to see him and KO have a series of matches going through a bunch of pay-per-views or PLEs, whatever you want to call them. And I want to see more of that feud. I'm with you. I didn't mind the Usos' interference in that match at all because I didn't want to see either of them lose. I think it would have took the shine off it. The other thing I loved about it, that was a fresh matchup. I don't remember ever seeing KO versus Drew, and maybe they've have fought, but it's been so long ago that it was fresh to see that. And, the only thing I would say is I would have left some on the table for that pay-per-view matchup. That was one hell of a match, but I mean, that was everything in the kitchen sink in that match as well, right?
Either one of those guys knows how to not do that, though. Like KO definitely doesn't know how to half-ass it, right? He's just another unique match we got was Lashley and AJ. How good was that?
Yes, that was a fantastic match.
Also,
I'm gonna say this: Ciampa is on fire.
I was just gonna say him and Miz are so good right now together. And then you throw in the Dexter Lumis stuff with that, and man, it's.
Speaking of Ciampa and talking about good promos, how about the promos he's pulling out? And what I love is he did a phenomenal. Sorry, I shouldn't use phenomenal when we're talking AJ, but he did a phenomenal job of explaining why he's with Miz, which they've. You know what? Vince would have ignored that completely. Like, who cares? You're with Miz. You wear pink tights now. Right. But that's the question room. Why the hell would you go with Miz? And he said, why wouldn't I go with Miz? This guy started off getting kicked out of the dressing room, worked his way to like 2-time Grand Slam champion. Makes perfect sense, right?
Legitimate Hollywood guy. Absolutely. And how about the also Ciampa explaining how he lost and why, it's, he did lose and he didn't make excuses or anything, but he basically said next time it's not going to, even just simple stuff like that. It's like, it's so refreshing because we've been without it for so long. And I know all the marks are going to be, AEW does that and they do, but not really. I don't even get that sense that not in the WWE style anyway. They don't. So there's so much good stuff.
Orange Cassidy versus R.A. Daivari is a fresh matchup, but is it one that we're excited to see versus, KO versus Drew?
Yeah. No, exactly. And even teaming Miz and Ciampa at first, I was like, really? They're going to run with this tag team? But I love it now. They're so good together. Even just the spot where Ciampa was doing his rope thing where he sits on the apron and Miz coming in there and they were doing it together.
That was great.
They did the awesome together. Oh, man. It's so cool to see. It's so cool just to see new stuff, new people, new talent on our TV. And then like the Dakota Kai stuff, I thought the opening match was really good too. Like the women put on a really solid tag match, and like again, it was a bit. I know it wasn't necessarily fresh, but it kind of felt fresh. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like you got a revitalized Bliss. It looks like, and rumor has it Doudrop's going. She's going to drop that name, and they're going to go back to Piper. Apparently, Trips is all about going back in time, so we're going to get Piper Niven again. And so
I don't care which it is. You know,
yeah,
it doesn't matter to
there's
me.
a note there, like there is oats because technically Eva Marie gave her that name. It was like it wasn't. She was about to say her name, and then Eva Marie, no, I'm going to call you Doudrop. You know what I mean? So they have anyway. That doesn't matter. To your point, it doesn't matter, but it's just really cool to watch the show and it feel fresh. And then who knows what SmackDown? You didn't even mention Karrion Kross mixed in with Drew there.
Oh yeah, I forgot about tremendous promo.
Stuff,
yeah, tremendous.
Think about all this stuff, but even that matchup, you got you potentially. Drew mentioned Kross waiting in the wings, and like it's just so cool. My thing with Drew is I don't blame Drew and I don't fault Drew for because I agree, like he was getting to a point where you're campy and the sword and all that shit, and I was just like, stop bringing the sword. But now I think it seemingly coincides with that maybe more freedom on the promo, because look at that SummerSlam promo. He was able to interact with the crowd. He wasn't sort of as robotic. He seemed a little more like loose. I think that's really been a big deal too, because he's going out there. Since when, never in time would Vince ever allow a talent to drop like a dirt sheet speculation. You know what I mean? Like Drew mentioning the sore back and being reported that he's got an injured back and all that stuff. Vince would never let that fly. Never in a promo. Like,
but that was awesome. Cool what his explanation for the sore back was awesome.
But again, it's like you almost even I don't know if you caught this, but even we're gonna move off this, but because it's just highlighting great show. But did you even catch KO during the match? Was even just give him the gears almost so much that I was like, do these guys really not? Do these guys have heat? Like that's what it almost felt like. Kevin's doing such a good job, and he's like, I forget what he had him in a headlock or something, and he just screaming out like, nobody wants to see your face anymore or something like that. And he's like, just like, this is so cool. This is like, give me that old school wrestling, and that's what Triple H is all about. We know that. So
exactly, old school wrestling. That's what it is, right?
The fact that we even had wrestling and wrestler on a TV. And I think we might even had a belt in the last couple weeks too. We even had a belt drop, but anyway. All right, so we agree it's been a great show, and hopefully I'm looking forward to SmackDown. We got Clash of the Castle coming up, so good things happen. Or as one Montavious Montel
Porter, MVP.
As one MVP, I'll just go with MVP. He likes to say, big things popping, little things stomping, and that's what I think we can look forward to going forward.